but it's not set in interviews. And here we are. We are live here on Facebook. Hey, Facebook, this is Dave Fanale, Real Estate Talk, TGIF. This is episode 88. That's right, double infinity. It is the best number in the world simply because it's 2 8s, 2 infinities, and it's also my birthday, 8/8. I want you all to remember that and make sure everybody that's watching just sends me $1 for my birthday on August 8th. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. We're lucky today as we've got Dustin Brohm with us, but before I go to there, we all know what the TGIF stands for now, don't we? You're right. Thank God it's Fanale. That's correct. Dave Fanale here. It's an F. It works. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Fanale. Dustin, thanks for coming on today. So glad to have you. Say hello to everybody.
Yeah, what's up? Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks so much for coming. And one of the things I like to do is Dustin, you've been an author with several online organizations such as Inman and others, as well as you've got some great podcasts out there. You've been a national speaker. You've done a lot of different things, and you've been around, but not as long as a lot of people. But you've had great success, and I think one of the success that you've had, the reason for your success, is that you've taken upon yourself to really go out there. Tell us your story about where you started, how you got into this business, and why would you want to be in real estate?
That's a great question. It's weird when I look back because I really don't think any agent ever grows up thinking I'm going to be a realtor when I grow up. Like, it's not a glamorous career, and unless like your parents are agents, right? But I didn't grow up that way. I just kind of fell into it. I think like most people. So I've been an agent for about 9 years, and when I first decided to get my license, I was in a bad place. Like, I was working a bunch of like dead end dude jobs, like construction, customer service, call centers, car washes, that type of stuff. Like, I had no freaking clue what I was going to do. And then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it completely opened my mind to this whole other world of entrepreneurship, small business ownership, specifically in real estate. But I thought I was going to be an investor. Just like you see on TV, I thought I was going to flip houses and make, $500,000 a month because it's so easy, right? And you can do it all within 30 minutes, according to the TV shows. And so I had this illusion that would happen to me. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get into real estate. And Rich Dad Education had one of those free weekend seminars in Salt Lake, and I went, and that really opened my eyes to just the whole thing. I met my broker. He was my broker at the time. And he's like, he was a big investor, but he's like, look, if you're going to be a successful investor, you need to get your license. It will help you because you have access to the MLS and, do your own deals, all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I got my license, fully intending to just go flip homes. And I don't remember exactly how this happened, but somebody referred a buyer to me, and I was helping them to buy a condo, and we did it. This was back in 2011, and the market was still recovering in Salt Lake City. So inventory was not a problem, right? It wasn't super competitive, made my job easy as a buyer's agent. We got them the condo, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just focus on helping others to buy and sell and become a traditional realtor, and then keep my mind open to investments that may come along. And I ended up just diving into being a realtor, and I joined a team for a couple of years. It was a loose team. And learned a lot. But what I didn't learn was that there are other ways to generate business. I was struggling because I had a mentor who I love, I respect, does a great job, but very different personality than me. And he's one of those people that wears a name tag and talks to people at the grocery store about whether they need to buy or sell, and that whole thing, and door knocking, cold calling with scripts, all that stuff. Right. I just hate that shit. I hate it. And so when you hate something, you're not good at it, and then you're not going to be consistent with it. And I wasn't. And so I had terrible results. I could barely make ends meet, if I even could. And out of necessity, a few years in, I Googled like how to get real estate business. and it brought me to Easy Agent Pro, which was doing a lot of content marketing at the time. Opened my eyes to content marketing, doing video, writing articles, like putting stuff out there that people find valuable, and then they reach out to you and hire you. And that was like, wait a minute, you're telling me I don't have to go like send them a bunch of mail and knock on their door and call and harass them? This is amazing. But I didn't believe it. So I found some mentors that were doing that, some other real estate bloggers, and I just did what they did. I just started writing articles and learning about SEO and YouTube video and stuff, and started going down that path, and it worked big, and it changed everything. And I've been all about attraction marketing ever since, because I enjoy it. I'm good at it. I don't have to convince anyone of anything. I just put out content. They come to me. It's an amazing concept.
So Dustin, let me ask you this. Like, okay, so you didn't want to chase business as your name tag wearing mentor wanted you to, or teaching you to do it. So you went out and you looked, you Googled different stuff, and you went out and looked for it, and you went into what we call, I guess, content marketing, right? Yeah. And it was more of, would you call it push marketing rather than pull marketing?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, okay. So I go into that long diatribe of what I'm talking about to simply ask you a question. How long did it take you to begin garnering business from this type of method of getting known?
Yeah. So first off, if you're going to go into it, it's not a quick thing. It's going to take time. You've got to get the content out there. People have to see it numerous times.
Right.
If you're going to do stuff that's searchable, you've got to build up domain authority so that your stuff ranks in Google. You know, like there's a process. It's going to take 6, 8, 9 months, maybe more. Sometimes you can get some quick wins. Luckily for me, I did. About 3 months in, I was doing some articles. I was doing some YouTube videos. I mean, really like amateurish stuff. But somebody found one of my YouTube videos where I was ranting about why Zillow's estimates are just garbage. And they watched that. It linked to my website. They went to my website. They learned a little bit more about me. And then they called me and they're like, hey, we want to hire you. We need to buy a house. And luckily I had that payoff or that validation fairly quickly. 3 months is pretty quick. Like it's really quick.
It is.
It really is. And so I think it was very fortunate, because I don't know how much longer I could have gone down that road without some sort of payoff. I was not the person I am today. I was not resilient. I was, I don't know, like I wonder how much longer I would have gone before I gave up. And so I got the validation pretty quick, about 3 months in.
So you were not the person you are today. Tell me a little bit about that, because people need to make transitions in life, and this could be more of a life lesson as well as a real estate license. Talk to me about that a little bit, because that's really curious. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work on myself over the last decade with personal development, mindset, and just busting my ass to make stuff happen. And when you just refuse to give up, you don't realize what's happening, but you build some serious confidence and resiliency over time. There's no way to do that by just reading books, just listening to podcasts. Like that helps. It helps. But doing the things, that's where you start to teach yourself that, like, hey, you're actually doing something. Like you're actually moving forward here. It's not just theory. And then you pair that with the positive, uplifting stuff you're putting into your head, and it changes you over time. And I think that's the path of every successful person to a certain extent. And sometimes people are closer to the goal line than others, and they don't need as much, or they just started much earlier in life or whatever. But it's still a daily battle for me. But yeah, I don't know why.
Right.
I was too stubborn to quit. I don't know. I don't think I had any other options.
It's funny in a peculiar way when we look at the mentality of real estate agents, and I've seen it through my 21 years of owning a brokerage and through the years that I've been working on building a coaching business. And I look at myself, right? I said, okay, so what I'm trying to do is a lot different than most. I mean, what you talk about, when I talk about, it may be the same thing, but we talk about it in a different way. And we're going to reach certain people differently, right? I look at all the different coaches out there and the people killing it out there. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing it as good as they are, or am I? And I start thinking, well, no, I'm doing it different. I'm doing it my way. My way works. I know it works, right? So I'm going to keep going at it. But then you've got the agent that it's the old agent mindset, which has been around forever, which is, what is my broker? What is my manager? What is my team leader giving me to make it worth my while? And they start pitching, well, maybe I'll get another job. You built in the guts, the balls, so to speak, to keep going and to not let it stop. I'm doing the same thing. Where is the trigger? Is there a trigger that you think where you just said, fuck it, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to worry about anybody giving me something. Is there a trigger there? It's a tough question to answer, and one we didn't talk about, but
it is. I'm trying to think of like a pivot point. Like there wasn't one very clear moment in time that I can point to. It was a gradual day by day thing that I just built up. And I think honestly, I think it comes down to, I found some other people who were very successful real estate bloggers, which is where I started with content marketing. I started writing articles. I built a website locally to rank on Google and have people find me when they searched for real estate terms. And I linked up with a group of other bloggers that have been doing it for years, and all of their business came from that. And so I saw it was possible. I said, these guys are doing it. I just need to do what they do. And so every single day that I was in that environment, I think I don't know, it became more normal to me. And I'm like, they're doing it. I just have to do that long enough. And so every day that went by that I just kept working on it, it made it less appealing, or even less of a possibility, less of an option to do anything else. Right. I think, because I'm like, they're doing it. I can't just stop now. And honestly, David, I think it was because I didn't have any other options too.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. I mean, I look at a lot of different things, and I've had, as you know, a lot of different people on this broadcast, and I'm going to start asking the same question. There's a couple of questions I ask all the time, and this is one question I'm going to ask everybody, because I'm really interested in from start to finish, did they change? What they changed? Do you have a ritual? Do you have a routine that you start your day with, or is there something that gets you going, or do you just get up and go to work?
I just get up and go to work.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not one of these 4 a.m. guys. I don't do the gym at 4:30 and then at 5:30 I read it. Like, I'd like to do that. It sounds great. I don't know. It's weird. My brain turns on at like 5 p.m. Like, I really start getting ideas and really start to like put pieces together of what I'm trying to build in the afternoon and after the kids are in bed. Like, when I'm walking the dog at night, like, my brain is just on fire. So I decided, like, why fight that? Like, I just stay up later than some people. But no, I don't really have a morning ritual other than wake my ass up, make some coffee, get the kids ready for school, and then just go to work.
No, it's interesting because it's one thing for me. I mean, I do have a ritual that I follow, and I find I've actually, interestingly enough, I've taken a couple weeks off from it to see what the difference in myself would be, and to see where my motivating factor would be. And the jury's still out on it, but I like to ask that question. So over the years, you've written a lot. You've done a lot of podcasting and stuff, and you talked a lot about social media. And we talked about this the other day, and I want to talk about two particular ones, and they're not really that prevalent in our business today. But I want to get your just quick thoughts on Snapchat and TikTok, because you're a marketing expert, and I want to get it from you. Just a couple of quick thoughts. You don't have to go into detail, but what are your thoughts on? Can they be used for real estate? Will they be used for real estate? Will one ever be a disruptor or an influencer in our business?
The answer is absolutely yes to all of those. They can be used for real estate. They are being used by agents for real estate, or not. directly for real estate, but to grow their brand, which ultimately helps them sell more homes, right? Absolutely. TikTok is the new Snapchat. So Snapchat, I told you this the other day, Snapchat really was what I used to get onto the national scene, if you will, to be known by other agents outside my market. And it was, so this was what, 2017-ish? Yeah, or like January 2017. I wrote an article for Inman called why I'm jumping on Snapchat for 2017 or something like that. Basically like why I'm using Snapchat as an agent this year. And that was at the urging of Gary Vee. He's like, I don't care what industry you're in, just write an article about why you're using Snapchat. And I was using it, like, wasn't using it very well. I was still experimenting with how it worked because it's so different than Facebook and Instagram and the others. But I wrote it, and I had thousands of followers on Snapchat the next morning, or the morning that article came out. Same thing the next day, same thing the next day. And so all of a sudden I had thousands and thousands of agents following me on Snapchat to see what I was doing and to see how I was using it. So I learned that you can tell stories on Snapchat through the stories feature, because that was a new thing then. Instagram stories was not around. Remember, they took it from Snapchat.
Right.
So I learned how to tell stories on my Snapchat story, 15 or 10 seconds at a time, string them together. And I just showed other agents what I was doing. Like, here's what I'm going to a listing presentation, or, hey, I just learned this new trick in Canva to make better graphics, or here's how you do something with Facebook ads. And I just showed that. And I realized that there's a big demand for that. People need those tactics. They're looking for those things. And so I use Snapchat. That led to doing more on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And now I deleted Snapchat. I don't even use it anymore. But it absolutely was responsible for me being where I am today. And I think TikTok is the new Snapchat. I just haven't figured it out yet, personally.
I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way you do, and they just haven't figured it out yet. And it's just it's pretty amazing that these things are out there. And you know, I have talked about Snapchat and how to use it. And in my coaching, I talk about how to use it the same way you just talked about. You know, tell a story 10 seconds at a time. Do several snaps for an open house. Just get it out there, because you're going to reach a different group, right? You're going to see people talking about you. Hey, you know, if one person talks about you, you had the impact, right? Yeah. And you had thousands, which was, you know, pretty cool, I guess, right?
Well, let me say this. This is important, because I get all the time like, oh, I only got 50 views on my YouTube video, or only, 70 people watched this video. Imagine 70 people in a room. You're on the stage in front of that room. That's meaningful. That's not a small thing. If you have 70 people that are listening to what you're saying, that is powerful. Don't ever underestimate 10 people, like that. And especially at a local level, you don't need tens of thousands of people to see your stuff. You don't.
Right. I want to add to that. In a conversation I had, and we discussed it the other day, in a conversation I had with David Greenspan. If you don't know who David is, please go check him out. And we talked about, getting, and he mentioned it, only getting a few views on a video or a few views on his Facebook stories or whatever. And I said, does it ever get to a point where you think you're just wasting your freaking time, that it just doesn't make sense to do it, and you're doing it just for yourself as an ego boost? And he says, I almost did that once. And then that same day, someone came up to me and said, thank you so much for that video today, or thank you for saying what you said, or whatever it is. And I completely and totally agree with him, because it happens to me every time I go to an event, because I've been doing video for 12 years, and I said to people, I went to a 1 day, well, it was a 3-day event, but I went for less than 24 hours. And I said, there's going to be 5 people I don't know that come up to me. I was wrong. It was 8, right? It happened to me at NAR this year, where people came up to me that I didn't know, right? It happened to me the other night at a local YPN event. A couple of people I don't know came up to me and introduced themselves, thanking me for what I'm doing to keep them going in the morning or whenever it is I do it, right? So the important part, like you just said, 70 views, that could be tremendous, right? Don't
Yeah.
worry about the numbers. Just like everybody, oh, I didn't get any likes, so they're supposed to help me get likes. That's a lot of crap too.
Yeah, most people don't like. Most people don't comment or engage with your stuff. How often do you run into somebody that you went to school with? They know everything about you. And you're like, wait a minute, I've never seen you comment. I've never noticed you engaging with any of my stuff. But yet they know you have kids. They know you're doing this. They're watching. When
That's
you
right.
put stuff out on social media, even though you may not get the feedback with the numbers, people are noticing.
Right. And honestly, if you look at the content you're putting out, if your consistency is the most important thing.
Yes.
Right. As I said, we're on show 88 here, 87 weeks in a row. And this will be cut up into bits and pieces, and we'll put it in different places. We'll put it on Instagram, as we'll put it on Facebook stories. We'll put it all over the place. Right. And we'll get, for the next couple of years, this will be all over the place. Right. And that's the important part, which leads me into the one podcast. I go through a lot of stuff, and in the one podcast you had was the 5 things that agents should be doing in 2020 to build their business. And those things were, and correct me if I'm wrong, learn what consumers want, be visible, do video, do more video, learn Facebook ads, and develop an abundance mindset. Start wherever you want and just hit 1 or 2 of those, and then we'll go through them, because it's really important. Because I agree with you 100% on all these things.
Yeah, I'll hit that last one, like having an abundance mindset. That is something I've had to work on over a decade, more than a decade, my whole life, really. It's because when you don't have money, when you don't have much to show for your career, when you don't have a lot going on compared to what you want going on, it's hard to be like, oh, there's plenty of business out there. Like, I don't need to worry because, there's plenty of business. I don't need to worry that I didn't get that listing. It's easier said than done when you're in that place. I completely get it. I come from that place. But what you've got to realize is, by using the tools available to you and learning to use them the right way, and I'm talking Facebook ads, YouTube, Instagram stories, email marketing, whatever, by using those tools that are available to you, you can absolutely dominate a portion of your market. I want you. So in Salt Lake City, we have the mountains. We're surrounded by mountains. You can kind of go up on the foothills and look out over the valley. Look at all the rooftops in your market. I don't care if it's a neighborhood, a subdivision, a town, or a city. Go look at how many rooftops are there, and realize every time one sells, there's 2 sides to every transaction, and they sell multiple times. There's no shortage of deals possible. The top producers in your market, what do they sell? 200 homes a year, 500, whatever. Let's say 100, just because it's an easy number. They sell 100 homes a year, but there's how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of homes in your market?
Right.
All you need is a little piece. You don't need to be the number one agent to have a great career and to change your family tree financially forever. You don't need to be number one. So just focus on doing the work, being yourself, because then you will attract the right people. You're not going to attract everybody. Like you can tell by my personality, and I probably had some people that are like, oh, this guy, I don't like this guy. And they probably turned it off. That's fine. But then some people will be like, well, I like the way he says things. I like his personality. And they will listen. Right. You attract the right people.
Right.
And when you do that, business gets fun. You create friendships with clients. They're not just transactions anymore. That leads to more referrals because you actually have a relationship with them. You don't get the nightmare clients that happen when you're polar opposites with your personality. When you're putting content out there and being yourself with all the warts you have, you're letting the right people come to you, and it gets really, really good. You just have to use the tools available to you the right way long enough. That's it.
It's like deciding who you want to work with. Like, I'm doing this in reverse of what you just said, right? So the right people that you want to work with are going to want to work with you.
Yes.
The people that don't like you, you don't want to work with them anyway.
Exactly.
Right? So
why would you?
Exactly. So if you start thinking about, if I tell us of my students all the time, I said, after a while, a few weeks, whatever, because I work with a lot of new agents, I said, decide who you want to work with. Who's your customer? Where do they shop? What do they eat? What do they drive? And I know a lot of these questions are impossible to answer, but the question is, are they going to laugh at something that you think is funny? Are they going to notice you? They're going to notice you because they're like you.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what you exactly just talked about. And that's to try to translate that into the abundance mindset is just basically be yourself is what you're saying. Is that correct?
That's it. When I started down this road of content marketing, I told you I started blogging.
Right.
I'm not a writer. Like I'm not a Pulitzer Prize winning whatever. I don't even know if I think that's what writers win.
I think so.
That's not me. So I just started to write the way I talk. And guess what I found out? Lots of people prefer that versus like the New York Times stuffiness type of stuff.
Yep.
I just wrote the way I wanted to write. I say things the way, like I wrote things the way I'd say them. I'm myself. I swear sometimes. I make bad jokes. Like I'm rough around the edges, but I'm me. I don't know how to be anyone else. I have no interest on even trying. I just don't have time for it. So, and I learned because of that, you attract the right people and lots of them, and you have a lot more success. Not to mention, it's just easier. When you're just yourself, you don't have to remember the type of person that you are pretending to be.
Right. And I think that's a key word is I don't think you need to pretend to be anybody. If you just like be the best version of yourself. I sound like a textbook, but still it's true. Be the best person of yourself, the best version of yourself, and to move forward.
This is stuff we've heard our whole lives, but you get to a point where you're like, wait a minute, that actually is happening in my life. Wow. Like now I understand it. It's one thing to hear it and it's like, okay, be yourself, blah, blah, blah. But to actually do it and then see how it works on the other end, if you do, that's when you really understand the concept. And that's why we're talking about it. That's why we're talking about it today, when some of you guys might be like, all right, let's hear some tactical stuff. Well, first you got to get the foundation right. And then you can start using the foundation or the tactical, Facebook ads, retargeting, or Instagram stories, or, podcasting to reach people, but you got to reach them with the right message and being yourself.
So let's go back up the list of what I said. And thank you for hitting the abundance mindset first, because that's the one I really wanted you to hit first. And we didn't even talk about that. So that's
nice.
Great. So
nice.
The next one up the list, which was number 4, is learn Facebook ads. Now, before you answer and address that, so many people have looked as, oh, Facebook ads suck, or
right.
Other people that have been doing them for a while says, oh, they screwed up the algorithm. They're making it more difficult. I'm in real estate. It's one of the special categories now. Hey, look, right. I've got more problems with Facebook ads than anybody because I'm targeting real estate agents. The algorithm sees that and thinks it's a special category. So I have to appeal my stuff all the time, which is fine. It's fine. But learning Facebook ads, it seems like it's almost like, people think it's passé a little bit, that it doesn't work like it used to. Talk to me about that.
I wish more people thought that way, because then it's less competition for us who actually know better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
There's no advertising platform that's more powerful for how little it costs compared to Google ads, for example, or, putting up a billboard or print, sending letters or whatever. And how easy it is to learn. It's not easy, but it's easier than learning Google ads. My God, that's ridiculous. Look, Facebook knows everything about us because we tell it everything about us.
That's right.
And even the stuff that we don't realize we're telling it. If we see an article and click it and wait till it loads and then read it, now Facebook's like, oh, this person clicks links. And then we do it again and do it again. And they start to realize that person is a link clicker. They will click a link and wait for it to load. Now you can target those people. If you want someone to read one of your articles, or if you want someone to do whatever, go see your new listing, Facebook knows who's more likely to click. So you can
right.
target those people. It knows who will fill out a lead form. It knows who will watch a video. And so you can target those people It's what you can do with it for. It's just so inexpensive. I hate talking about cost per lead because there's so many variables to that. Ultimately, I'd pay $500 for a lead if it closed.
Right.
I'd pay $1,000 if it closed and turned into 9,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get way too caught up in that. We should be focused on how many people you can reach and have an impact on, and how much is it going to cost to do that. There's nothing better than Facebook ads. It's nothing more than a tool. Those who say it doesn't work, those who say it doesn't work anymore, or that it doesn't work for them, or it doesn't work in their market, they're all wrong, but they're also right because they're telling themselves that story. All they have to do is learn how to use it the right way, use it effectively, maybe change the messaging. Usually I see it, the problem is they're trying to push something down the user's throat that they don't care about.
Right.
Rather than trying to figure out what that person needs or wants to see and then deliver it.
Right.
So, but just by changing that, you can have dramatically different results in a positive way. It absolutely works.
And the interesting part about that, really, Dustin, is that there's these people that say, oh, Facebook is listening, or everybody's listening to what I'm saying. Please keep doing that because it's helping the algorithm for us, so that they know what you want and they know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So with the Facebook ads and with video and the abundance mindset and getting out there and doing it, you talk about doing more video. You talk about being visible, right? And I think those two things go hand in hand to a point. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and we talked about being consistency. So we just skirt over those a little bit. Well, let's go into the top one. Learn what consumers want. Right. A lot of times we're out there. Why do we want to give people what they need, what we think they need, and we want to try to shove it down their throats. And then we don't realize that that's not. They may need that, but they don't want that. Eventually, you're going to work. It's going to work. Talk to that a bit.
Yeah, and they may need it, but they may not need it right now.
Right.
So they don't care about it at all. Remember, if all you put out there is real estate content about tips for home buyers, your new listing, just listed, I just sold this place in 24 hours with 87 offers and what, nobody gives a shit. They just don't, because that's all they see from realtors online is that. And if they are not in that small window of time where they are looking for an agent or researching the process, they don't care. So instead, talk about the community. Bring up show nostalgic stuff about the community. People love nostalgia. A topic that I talk about a lot here in Salt Lake is, so there's this mall called the Cottonwood Mall in Holiday. Anyone who grew up in Salt Lake remembers the Cottonwood Mall. It was so cool. We'd go there all the time after school. I was in junior high at the time, but it was a big part of everyone's childhood that grew up in the Salt Lake area. They tore it down in 2009, and it's been an empty lot ever since. Even today, 10 years later, it's still this huge empty lot, and all the residents are fighting the developers on what they're going to put there. Don't even get me started, more than I already have. But it's a sore subject, and when people see photos of it or they hear about it, it gets their attention instantly. So I found some photos of the mall on Flickr and asked the photographer if I could borrow them. I created a blog post, and I just called it New Photos of the Old Cottonwood Mall. And I put it out there, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people were sharing it and tagging their friends in it, because I wasn't saying, hey, I'm a realtor, you need to work with me. It was, check out this thing that you remember about your community that isn't there anymore, and let them walk down memory lane. But guess what? Everyone who went to that article went to my real estate website. That's right. They were added to my Facebook pixel and custom audiences, so I could retarget them with Facebook ads later on. Some of them wandered off into other articles on my site or to search for homes, and some of them filled out lead capture forms. Most didn't. The vast majority didn't. But when you have over 100,000 people going to see this, a small percentage is all you need. And you have to do it by getting their attention first with stuff that isn't salesy. It was nostalgic content about the community, whatever that is, something that isn't in your community anymore, something that is moving to your community, like a Top Golf or a Dave & Buster's or a Splash Pad. Like, just cover the community.
Right.
And then you become the local expert who also sells homes. It's amazing how that works.
It is, because people want to know that stuff. They want to know what's going on, or they want to know what it was. It's just like, it's just so much stuff that you can put out there. And if it interests you, there's a good chance that it's going to interest the general public, just like we said earlier, right?
Exactly right.
It's all about how you get yourself known out there.
Yes.
So I want to bring on my friend Sekou Pyle, who I work with. Sekou is a coach I work with, and he's not coming. There he is. Here he is.
There he is.
What's going on?
Meet Dustin Brohm. Sekou is probably one of the best dialogue script guys in the country. And one of the things we talk about, I say it all the time, is you talk past an objection, you talk over an objection. And Dustin was talking about earlier how he didn't want to chase down people, or he went to content marketing rather than doing, the phone calls and all that stuff, And but anyway, Sekou,
I was
coming on, man. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but this is one of my favorite segments of every week, having you on with us.
mine absolutely my favorite segment. Forget everything else, man. Mr. Bro, man, dude.
What's up?
If you're gonna do it like that, and you're gonna do content marketing, man, I want to do it like you. You are everywhere, man. It's awesome, man. What's going on?
Hey, nice to meet you, man. Yeah.
Okay, now wait. So I can't hear you on the thing, but I can hear you on the broadcast. So forgive me if I'm delayed. Okay?
No worries. No worries.
All right. It's the new Be Live system.
All right. So I'm not listening to you because I can't hear you, right? So I want to say, man, I went into all of your content, man, and it is A++, brother. I truly admire.
Thank you.
The information that you give, the contribution to the communities that you're working in and around, and the ability to grow other agents and contribute to other agents and their growth and development.
Thank you.
Kudos. I love it, man. I love it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Fanale.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna need you to translate for me, right? So the question that I always ask, man, is what can we do to help, right? I've gotten to this point, man, where I really want to go granular, man, and ask every guest that you have, man, if there was something that they could do to grow, if there was a way to customize their business and we could help, man, their dreams of dreams, desires of desires, what would it be and how do we help? Did that make sense? Was that word salad?
No, it's not word salad. Justin, what do you think? How basically the question, as he puts the translate, is that what is one thing that you can do, that you could do to help people, and what can we do to enhance you and your business as well?
I think we all just need to tell our story our way, right? You don't need to be a Tom Ferry to be helpful, right? Like, I could be helpful to agents even if I'm one step ahead of them, because they don't know how to get to that next step yet, and I can just say, hey, here's how I got to that next step. There's always somebody that you can help, and so I just use my the tools I have available, social media, my podcast. We're getting a lot of feedback there.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of feedback, I know.
I use that to tell my story and just share my experience. It's not going to resonate with everybody. I don't care. Like, those that are looking for it, it's going to help them. I think something that I'm proud of is, like, look, I should not. It's always bizarre to me that I've become someone that people listen to, that I have some level of influence. Like, I'm not, and I hope that doesn't sound arrogant or whatever, but like, people listen to my stuff, right? So I have some level of influence, and that's a huge responsibility. why I love that is I'm able to show, and I think let them see that if this Dustin guy who's rough around the edges, loses his train of thought, like if he can do it, I can do it too. And I love that. So seriously, the only difference between me and someone who hasn't done any of this stuff yet is I've done the stuff, and I've done it long enough. You've got to start it to learn it. You can't learn how to be a great podcaster without podcasting. And just start doing it and learn along the way and improve every chance you get. That's it. Like, so I don't really know how to directly answer that question, but
right. Unfortunately, we lost Sekou on the broadcast. He was having some issues where he was with Wi-Fi and stuff. He apologizes for having to cut off, but we were having some stuff with the new system we've been using, and I apologize to everybody out there as well as you, Dustin. But it's the big thing that he always brings up is our objective, and him and I have the same goal, just in a different path this year, is that we both said on January 1st. Now, we do this thing called 5K Wednesdays, right? And our Wednesdays, what we do between 4 and 7, Sekou goes on, he broadcasts, and he asks people to spend that time connecting with individuals, with potential clients, etc., whether that's through video, whether it's through doing a watch party, whether it's through texting, emailing, calling, whatever it is. And our objective is to get everybody together, whoever we can reach. And we're reaching thousands on that broadcast to do 5,000 contacts, right? So we do that. We do that every week. And our objective is to bring people together and to help people do it. And it's not for us to show people how great we are, but it's us to do something for the community of real estate agents to help them get better at. And that's one of the things we do. We'd also like to have you on one Wednesday to talk about just the things you're talking about. And that's one thing we've been able to do. And we've had, actually, we started this 1,000-member person thing to help on January 1st, where on January 1st, we did a 10K Wednesday. It was on a Wednesday, January 1st, if you recall this year. We started at 8 a.m. and finished at 7 p.m. And we had David Greenspan came on, and a couple other people came on. And what was really cool about it is I declared that day, and so did Sekou, that we're going to help 1,000 people. Now, how I'm going to help them and how he's going to help them will be two different things, but we're going to help 1,000 people. And that is our objective to everything. I can do it with you. I can do it with others. I can help you in any way. That's really, really going to make my day. Because I want to work with anybody and everybody I can to help. And, if there's anything that we can do for you, we want to be able to do that. So, I mean, what would be one thing that you would offer to everybody else, no matter what way they market to people, no matter what way they lead gen? What would you say to them in order to push them in the right direction?
I would say, first off, get in tune with what you want to do for marketing, right? To what you want to do to attract new business. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Tom Ferry. Don't listen to, anyone who's saying you must do this one thing. If you want to do that one thing, awesome. Follow that roadmap. It's proven out. But what if you don't want to make phone calls? Call reluctance is real. I had it. I still have it from time to time. Usually I just don't want to deal with it. You don't need to. Social media is prospecting if you do it right. So figure out what you want to do and what are you good at doing? What are you good at doing? In order to be successful with whatever it is you're going to do, you have to do it long enough to see success. Back to, how long did it take me before I got the validation that my content marketing was working? What if it takes a year? If you hate making phone calls, but you're like, so-and-so does phone calls, so that's what I need to do too with my freaking headset on and record myself on Facebook Live. It always drives me nuts seeing the cold caller recording themselves. But if that's what you're going to do, you better love it. Because what if you don't get any payoff for a year?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. I said, it's what do you like doing?
Yeah.
And you have to have a balance of what you like doing to get it there while still having an income and having to do other things. But as time goes on, you'll be able to take that balance of like this. I can't get my hands on the screen here, like this, to make it balance out.
Yes.
So lastly, a couple more things. I want to just thank Matt DeFady for coming on. Matt is on saying a bunch of things. Jeff West, the abundant mindset is important. Kim Morelli, she's always on with us. And Matt says, I would just say get off your lazy ass and do something. I don't disagree with that completely. But there are people that just don't want to do stuff, and they get caught up and they put themselves in a prison, so to speak, of, well, I'm not going to do this one thing, so somebody give me some business.
Yes.
Right.
Or they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with the options, which I think is becoming really common. Because, I mean, if you listen to my podcast, I talk about a lot of different strategies. And it's not because I'm saying you must do them all, but they're options. They're all tools. Okay. You don't need to use them all. Now, that's great if you can get to a point where you can have multiple strategies, because you want to be seen everywhere and be visible and found everywhere, of course. But you don't start there. So what is it? If you hate being on video, if it makes you shake with nervousness, do a podcast instead. Like, there are, whatever you want to do, whatever you're good at, and whatever you want to do, there's something for you. You just have to dive in. And so I want to give people permission, not like they need it from me, but if they do, you have permission to focus on one freaking thing. Forget about all the other stuff you hear about. Oh, you got to do this. What was the one thing that excited you the most when you heard about it? You're like, wait, I can do that, and that can lead to more business. That's a pretty good indicator that that's what you should be doing. If it excited you that much, whatever that is for you, do it. And then start learning how to do it along the way. There's no other way. It's never going to be perfect.
Right.
Just start doing it and model what other successful people are doing and how they're doing it, and get better every time. That's all you can do. And I want to give you permission to lose your train of thought on video, to stumble with your words, to have a blooper happen while you're live on video. Those things are relatable to people. Those things are what help people make a personal connection with you and make you likable. If you're polished and you sound scripted like the frickin' evening news anchor, like Stone Phillips, nobody likes Stone Phillips.
Nobody.
But they'll relate to someone who's nervous on camera. They'll relate to someone who messes up or gets their words twisted because they know they're not marketers. They're like, hey, I do that too. Wow. Like, those things make you relatable and likable. You want to embrace those. Those are good. Those help you be more successful. They don't hurt you.
Exactly. And one of my favorite lines I've used it so much, people think it's mine, but I actually got it from my buddy Matt Allman from Social Networks out in California. The imperfection is the connection. It's like this thing here. I mean, this is that's reality TV. This is a TV. This computer thing that we're on, that's a TV. And that's why people like the housewives of Beverly Hills or of New Jersey or whatever. That's why they like that shit, because it's real. I don't think it's real. I think it's crap, but
it's not real at all.
Right? American Idol, still on today. That's reality TV. People love that stuff, right?
Yes.
And they won't miss it. Or now we DVR it, but still, I mean, years ago, we would make sure we were home at a certain time to watch a certain TV show because we didn't want to miss it. Now people can watch your stuff, their leisure. They see your stuff. It's reality. It's all there. Dustin, this has been really good. We've gotten some great feedback. Unfortunately, we lost Sekou after he came on. But I want to ask you one other question. I kind of asked it a little bit differently before, and Sekou would always ask this question. The question is, we'd love to have you, number one, on our show on some Wednesday. So we'll message you and let you know if you can let you know when it is, and if you can come on, great. That's beside the point. But how can I help your business? How can I help you grow?
I mean, you already have. Like, just look, by having other people on your show and just giving exposure to others that are doing good, helpful things, you are helping. So, like, hopefully I've been able to reach someone who didn't know who I was, or I mean, it's not about that. It's maybe I was able to say something in a way that resonated, where they've heard it 100 times before,
Right.
but it wasn't until it was said a certain way with a certain energy that it got to them and it helps them. So just by having me on, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Great.
That's it, man. I mean, if
So,
you don't already
know,
have a podcast, please do. Other than that, keep doing what you're doing, David. You're killing it.
Thank you. I know you appreciate it. I know you do, but I know there's another reason you did come on. And that was
I have to get one of those.
Right, you will. And notice, and I know Matt's on, and I have Matt's in my car. He was on a long time ago, but there's also noted on it what the episode was.
Oh, nice.
So that's going out. I actually have the envelope ready to go. We'll get that out to you. Dustin, thank you so much for coming on today. Next week we have, geez, I forgot who we have on. Next week, I believe we have, who do we have on next week? Does anybody know? I forgot, but I know. Oh yeah, here it is. Next week we've got Greg Harrelson next week, and we've got Mark Stein after that, Sean Kokoska, Tim Harris, and we also have a special guest coming up in April. So we've got a great lineup coming up in the future. Dustin, thank you so much. Episode 88, which was awesome. Thank you, man. Stay on for a minute if you would. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much.
See ya.